Nope. And this is where things go wrong. It's going to be a solid 20 more seconds or so. Yeah. Until your next depot, maybe you'll lose some of these units. But if you were building a depot while building this command center, you'd, one, be able to build any more units, and you might actually win the game. Because right now, his army is all of one widow mine. That is it. That is his entire army. He has one widow mine. So, you have successfully just kind of built units, which is a successful strat, of course, as you can tell. All right. Widow mine, fine. And if you were doing anything else, you got baited into Reaper microing. And yes, I agree, the Reapers are an important part here. But, okay, everybody, deep breaths. Thank you, T. Parker. T. Parker, 805, 11 months, deep breaths. We're going to hold our breath until he makes another unit. All right. And now. We'll count that. So you just spent a solid... Let's go back. I want to see when it starts. When does it start? 3:35. And we're still supply blocked here, but... 3:35. A full 30-plus seconds. How many SCVs did you kill? Oh my god. It was more like 45 seconds. 45 seconds is 4 SCVs. Let alone however many orbital and SCVs. We'll say 2 SCVs on the natural, so 6 SCVs. Just, let alone anything else. It's not like you didn't have money. So let's see how many SCVs you killed. You killed 4. Because your Reaper Micro is... I'm pretty sure that if you had just A-moved, like a particularly well-trained Border Collie would most definitely have done better Reaper Micro than that. And you also, by the way, built nothing else. If you were building anything else at that time, it wouldn't be such a travesty. But that is one of the most obvious indications of why you are... And I don't think you're coming in saying like, well, I don't know why I can't improve, but... You can't spend 30 seconds out of the first 4 minutes or 45 seconds out of the first 4.5 minutes just not building anything. You don't get to take your micro turn and then take your macro turn. That's not how it works. Or at least that's not how it works in the higher leagues, for the most part. Thank you, RGK Loki 3125, for that Twitch Prime sub. Have you guys heard of Twitch Prime? Like, your entire build is just a solid 45 seconds late. And the build wasn't bad. Up until you microed anything, it was pretty good. And now, once you stop microing, it's pretty good again. But here we go again. You ever see me look at Hero Marine's first-person perspective? Every single time he's fighting, down here, this box is more his production than it is the units he's microing. Whereas... I don't think you've used it once while you were micro. At the end of the day, more shit will counter less shit. What does he got? 34 SCVs. Your opponent's doing pretty well, especially considering, well, he used an advanced tactic, which is kind of unfair, which was building units and also SCVs, and that's how he's caught up. But double upgrades. Bigger, faster, stronger upgrades. A medevac. Why is your production on 7? Do you have some weird hotkey layout? Gargantuan hands? Both hands on the keyboard? Or are you just inefficient? The core, but then why are your other hotkeys on 1 and 2? Does it make more sense with the core? Pro gamer strat. At least we're getting the upgrades here.
Research complete.
O is 1 and I is 2.
We're running out of minerals back home.
Yeah, breaks my brain, but that's fine. We'll just assume it makes sense.
CC's upgrade. SCV ready.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't want to think about it anymore. We'll trust you on that one. We won't trust you on the... I'm using the core layout. I spent probably multiple hours, if not days, setting up my hotkeys to be very particular and have a very efficient layout. And then I'm going to sit there microing Reapers for 45 seconds at a time, and also, for a solid 3 minutes of the game, not have any units hotkeyed besides a single Hellion. I'm going to spend all of that time out of my fucking day, and then just not use any of those fancy right side of the keyboard hotkeys, because that sounds hard.
Mineral field depleted. Research.
You might be like, well, there's nothing happening right now. But how do you know? What if 3 medevacs come in right now? 1, you wouldn't know. And 2, what button are you going to hit? What button are you going to hit if 3 medevacs come in right now? We all know. We all know what button. So, it feels like it kind of defeats the purpose of the Select All Army hotkey if you aren't doing the due diligence. I mean, it defeats the purpose of using this fancy hotkey layout if you don't fucking use it. I'm sure there's some crazy rebind for F2 or something on the core. It's actually combined with every single key.
Finished. We're running out of minerals back home.
Gangway, coming.
You're out of ready.
Fueled up, ready to go.
That mineral field's gone. Don't spend it all.
Go, go, go. SCV ready for
You see, like, the build is pretty good. For every second there isn't an enemy unit in sight, you're doing great. To be honest, like, this is like diamond level macro, but the tunnel vision is solidly metal. And what hotkey did we use immediately upon this happening? Also, by the way, you're suffering from the classic... I think I explained this explicitly, at least in the newest. It's not on YouTube, but if you watched the second day, where I played a whole lot of Terran of the low APM challenge to Masters, where I say the reason why lower level players don't take third bases, in this case you took a third, is because the existential crisis they have when they take a third prevents them from ever doing anything to defend it. And here you did what is one of the most iconic lower league moves, which is, well, I took another base, but literally moved nothing anywhere remotely close to it to have any hope of defending it or scouting anything I might need to defend against. I took a third. I did it, like you said in the guide. Did we skip over the part where you move your army, at least some of your army, to defend the third base, so that way a bunch of men with drugs and guns don't come in and take all your shit? But that seems like too far of a logical leap, which is why we're not going to have much of a leap in the latter points. I like how the only way, once again, we're using the core layout. For those who don't know, the core is an advanced hotkey layout, and by advanced I mean complicated, where instead of using the left side of the keyboard like us normies, they put all the keys over on the right side, and it's more efficient and all that bullshit. But the only way we're gonna take our own drugs and guns is after the Raven flies over the Marines, dies horribly doing fucking nothing, and then everybody else comes in siege tank range in a terrible position after the base is already fucking gone in order to attack. We've done all that setup. And this is how we fight. Okay? This is like it's like the Indiana Jones, like where the guy with the sword and then Indiana Jones just shoots him. You're the guy with the sword. That was Indiana Jones, right?
We're running out of...
But now you've been inspired to go fucking kill him, and you do have more shit. The thing is, at some point, you will face players who are able to build a comparable amount of units and move them into position to defend proactively. I think there's like a 90% chance here. Let's be honest with ourselves. Here's another very few things. But what are the stereotypes? And he says he got to Platt. And Platt is just like when it's like when teachers have students that probably should fail, but they know they won't get very much funding if they fail too many students. So, No Child Left Behind. Come on in. You're that guy. That's Platinum. So what's going to happen here, I expect, is even though he just killed your third, you took a third. That scene was caused because Harrison Ford had horrible diarrhea and go to the bathroom in the middle of the scene, yeah, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, I'm on Reddit too, unfortunately. Moving on. Even though he just killed your third, you're not going to go for the third, are you? He has a third, but is it going to enter? Because now you're panicking. We're in panic mode. Is it going to enter into your mindset that he just killed your third? Is the possibility of him having a third going to cross your mind before any sort of attack? I will be mildly impressed if you put any thought or scouting or any like a scan or even some units towards the third before attacking into the natural. But I'm ready to be disappointed. Thank you, Lennon, for 65. Give him some W. Like, well, he scanned you, so on the bright side, now you are reminded that scan exists. Let's see it. Mm-hmm. The struggle. Oh, it's worse. Oh, God. I'm excited. I didn't even consider this option, because this is possibly the worst option, which is take 1/3 of my army, a nice bite-sized portion of the army, while being scanned, and, I mean, attacking on the ground is scary, so... this is not a doom drop, it's a doomed drop, because it's 2 medevacs of Marines. Alright. I like how you see the Viking, and you're like, oh, Viking. Then you see the Marines, you're like, well, we've come this far. This is like my outfit playing PlanetSide. And this is why the No Child Left Behind Act was a failure. This is why. Everybody else is like, huh. Well, guess it didn't go great. It's like, maybe... See what you've done? You have found, like, I hadn't even thought of that. Because, this was, like, so incredibly dumb. Like, on such another lower level that even I... Because we haven't done much Angry Coach lately, or even Bronze League Heroes, even I did not consider the possibility you would fuck this up this hard. But I am not your father, and I didn't see your childhood, so I was unprepared for such a clusterfuck of failure. This is impressive. I'm impressed. Congratulations. This was... Wow. How do I record my games? I want to be scolded. All right. Let's for posterity. Who's good boy? Not you. let me let you in on a fucking secret. Because did you know that every single StarCraft 2 game is saved in replay form? And if you didn't, well, you've got a long ways to go before you can even get to the level at which you could do the logical leap, or not logical leap, but at least understand the process at which to give me a game to look at. And even at that point, even if I was able to open that game, I don't know how long I would actually watch it. So, meanwhile, Maru here. Yes, that Maru. From the Pig Clan with his core hotkey layout. On the bright side, I guess we can consider the bright side. Those 16 men, they're all men, right? Died, and the women piloting the medevac, so equal opportunity, died so that everyone else could live. Did they need to die? Maybe, but it was it was so you could go home and say, well, they're running out of bullets. We're winning the war. Nixon 72. Wait, what? Or was it 70? I don't know, one of those.
We're running out of minerals back home.
Fueled up, ready to go.
So, everything everything that happens on your half of the map, well, not everything. Anytime you don't have to control your units, like, I bet you're pretty good at Civilization. Do you like Civilization? And if so, give me recommendations on which one I should play if I ever get into that. But it seems like everything up until actually controlling your units ever is pretty good.
You have an expansion.
Thank you, Dr. Fiddlebutt, for 14 months.
We're running out of minerals back home.
You need more depots. Sorry, this is a
So,
hard game.
besides the obvious failures in micro and decision making, which is slightly different, the upgrades and the production are pretty decent. Though the reason you're not maxed out significantly quicker than him is obviously because you made your best efforts to prevent it. So good job on that. Alright. And also, here's another recommendation. If I was you, I would download the minimap. I know you might not realize, but in the bottom left of the screen, there's a mini-map, which is a small representation of the map as a whole. And on that mini-map, you can see your units, and you can see enemy units, especially, well, if they're within your vision. So once you download that, you'll be able to see he has any amount of units in your base killing your shit. And I look forward to that day.
They're attacking your base, you know.
Like, did you hear Tasteless? They're attacking your base, you know. No, you don't. Apparently, you fucking don't. Like, your entire mineral line died. The entire goddamn thing. And it's not like they did it particularly quick, either. Like, let's just watch this happen. This is real time. Alright. This is not your vision anymore.
Upgrade complete.
We're running out of minerals back home.
Ready to fueled up, ready to go.
They kill SUVs pretty quick. And what gets me is obviously you had the stream on too loud in the background.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because
Just
at
as I
multiple
deserve.
times, you could hear it. You could hear the Vikings. Not even you're under attack. You could hear the Vikings killing SCVs. I could hear them, and I'm blasting techno music all the time. Oh my god. So, there you go. You've now lost 20, I think 25 or so of those SCVs were to those Vikings. Once again, the real irony of,
Lesbian guys are exhausted.
of using the core hotkeys. And then getting, like, spending a solid 20 seconds before reacting to Vikings who killed your entire mineral line. And then the whole goddamn army and all the tanks and all the king's men and all the king's donkeys to your natural, and then him doing the simplest bait and switch I have ever seen that probably still isn't gonna work because he doesn't have nearly enough units, but if he had brought his tanks with him, which is another classic Meta League move, is, well, unsieging tanks is pretty hard, so why don't we just bring oh, wait a second. Spoilers! Spoilers! Oh my god. Well, I mean, more shit counters less shit. So, didn't...
Running out of minerals back home.
This is your camera still. Oh my god. So here's another tip. In case this wasn't in whatever guide slash write-up or whatever, you can change the scroll speed of your mouse. So when you drag to the edge or use the middle slash side mouse or whatever, it moves faster. This is a staple of Bronze League Heroes because by default, it's on 20%, which is why I think so many lower level players, one of many reasons, but it contributes, they don't take a third because moving your screen more than 3 times a game is already putting you at risk of carpal tunnel because you're like, and that's part of the struggle there.
Mineral field.
Geysers empty.
But that is another. I can see it right now. I don't. You may have upped it, but it does seem like moving the mouse around the screen is a struggle. Okay, like I just can't get over. Also, this time you're producing units. I'll give you that. But he hit me, so I need to hit him right now. Without even giving half your Marines time to heal. The Vikings are in front of everything. We got one hotkey, which is one more than we usually use. Like, wow, micro. And we still, despite taking a third in the same location, and despite seeing there's a sensor tower, have absolutely no interest in seeing what's over here. It's like, well, there are all the units right here, and none of the units here, though there is a planetary. Thank you, Irish Carbonite, for 75 months. I can't even count that high. Nope. Attack! He attacked us! Take revenge! Those Vikings killed 25 SCVs!
You are now in
Thank
my
you, Superman.
service.
09144. Glad you enjoy. Well, why did that happen? Don't worry about it. I like how the microing of the Vikings was so much effort that Marines are now running to their death because the controlling Vikings took so much time that the move command of Marines is... it's a mess. Thank you, Drake. I just don't enjoy. Like, oh my god. Oh, the Blood Pact. And now this is another. Like, you are hitting a whole lot of the marks here. The only thing that's different than a normal, like, gold platinum game is your macro's actually pretty good. But you balance that out by such incredibly poor decision making and micro that it makes it fair. So, the Blood Pact has been sealed. Those tanks killed 10 Marines, which means their brothers must avenge them by stimming again. into a concave because the fight has begun and one of us will be victorious. Probably not me. We'll see. Well, maybe if he just runs away. Okay. Now imagine if you had, I don't know, not run all the Marines in before it's like, well, how was I supposed to siege up my tanks with all the Marines selected? Riddle me that. I don't know. Sounds complicated. Thank you, JJ Fire, for 7 months. Glad you're still enjoying. I'm Flyboy95. This is tab or control click or hotkeys, or at the very least, maybe don't run all your Marines into siege tanks. That's also an option.
Upgrade complete.
This should be Bronze League Heroes, except it's not actually like a fun game. This is literally just essentially two not particularly bright individuals headbutting each other and taking turns. But there's like 5 minutes between each time, so.
You want a piece of me, boy?
Alright, so will these tanks win the game on their own? We're gonna find out.
Ready to blunder.
Maybe. They're both. Now we're in the stage of. I've watched Hero Marine for 943 hours. I've got this. I know how to do it. You drop it on the tanks.
That mineral field.
Didn't work out. Oh yeah, liberate.
Don't spend it all in one place.
Alright. Unfortunately, that means the tanks are now all dead, and now the rest of the army will come join it, as the Death Pact has been sealed, and since the fight began, it cannot yet end. If only we had more army to help, maybe we could win this fight, but unfortunately, we do not.
We're running out of minerals.
How many SCVs do you have? Huh, you're spending your money pretty well. It's just impressive how many units you're losing. He's losing just as many. Like this is what I'm seeing here is that the matchmaking system is working well. So good job, Blizzard. Haven't got much of that lately. Okay. Have you scanned? Has there been a singular scan? Because usually we have a whole lot of counter scanning. But I don't know if a single scan has been used.
That field's been mined out.
Alright. There's still, these are the reserves, alright? They have yet to be called up, as Maru has yet to issue an declaration of a Terran emergency, so the reserves are no longer yet at the front. But once that happens, which I assume will be after losing all of these units, they will finally be called to fight. On the bright side, you haven't used the Select All Army hotkey in a while, is what that means. What that also means is you haven't used any hotkeys, as the total of units on hotkeys is 4 tanks. So, there's that.
The little building on the right.
Ready to blunder.
Like, the macro is
Mineral field depleted.
about diamond level, in my opinion. Your macro is diamond. Your decision making and your micro is special needs.
Ready to blunder.
And not the Mexican Terran.
Ready to blunder.
What I really want What I want to see is one Liberator. I want his opponent. Now, this is just for me, obviously, not for, like, giving advice like we're pretending to do. I want to see his opponent siege up one Liberator on a mineral line. I want to see what happens. But we'll see. If it comes to that.
Ready to plunder. Ready to plunder.
Alright. So, Terrans have a map hack ability, which is, call in the team, right? They have a map hack ability. Where they can just, for only 50 energy, on the building you're always going to get, the orbital command. But do you have the energy?
Yes,
No.
yes. Just as I deserve.
Where they can scan and see any place on the map. And there's nothing their opponent can do to stop them, unless they're constantly EMPing their opponent's orbitals, which maybe not a cost-effective strategy. This could be utilized for many purposes. I'll just leave that out there before we see what happens here. I do like the unsiege, and by the way, might I point out, you have 4 bases. It stands to reason, just based on the fact your opponent is also Terran, and while he's lost a lot of units, he potentially could have more than 2 bases. But if I kill his main, it's over. I'm sure every game you play ends when you get into his main. I'm sure there's never any situation where there's a random base in the bottom right corner, or over here, or 14 battle cruisers jump in. That never happens. So, with that, I'm sorry, I just needed to... With that. Thankfully, he doesn't seem to have a single... Oh, there we go, 2 tanks. Beautiful. Wow. More shit does counter less shit. So you are cheating. You gotta appreciate here the correct your. I will give him bonus points for that. I'm interested to see his rationale behind this. You said with this replay, just to, in case it needed to be said, that you weren't actually cheating. Don't worry. I believe you. But, let's see what Bean thinks. Bean, just throwing that out there, and gonna let it marinate, and then... And now you go back to the game for how long? Another 2 minutes? Let's actually see what... Okay. Alright. It is at this point that we may finally realize... Now here's what I want to see. So he's taking his victory lap here. Got to get that XP. Except, you get XP for everything your opponent has left when the game ends. Like, when they leave the game, you've already gotten XP for essentially killing everything they had. But, what I want to know is, even in this victory lap, does the idea of potentially a third base ever cross his in less than substantial mind? Let's find out. Or does the main die and all the buildings, it's like, my work here is done. We looked for a second. Now, is this a moment? I was mad at the accusation of cheating. Alright. I mean, that's fair.
Mineral field debris.
What is this? Oh, he had Vikings out here. So, that was a slightly more unique than our average. So you say you're plat now, which, once again, congratulations, participation award. And you did win that game just simply by building more units. So it's a
You are
C+.
now at my service.
What is this color?
Winter, you have the best words.
Many very smart people. Not this Terran, but many people say that. C+. Which means, I think, even, like, the macro will very slowly get you up the ladder. Very slowly. But there will be increasingly more games where you can't micro reapers for 45 seconds to get 4 kills and still be ahead. But with that said, the macro was very good. It was almost, but not entirely balanced out by everything else. So. And well, we have more angry coaches, but in case I just cut that part out, like and subscribe and all that. So that way you can be like, is this guy really plat? Even though you haven't played since Heart of the Swarm when you were platinum, so it must be super easy. You would be essentially masters today if you had kept playing. You just don't really have the time. But how is this guy plat, right? Thank you, Morrow. Peter for Nemesis. Better fighting decisions will get me there. Maybe... maybe... I don't know how I'm gonna phrase it. Yes. The answer is yes. A short answer. We now have another TVT in Platinum. Great. So, compare and contrast. Jimmy! Nemesis.
SCV ready. SCV ready. SCV ready. SCV ready. SCV
Okay.
ready.
I don't know what you're doing here. Like, I can't tell... Because you're, like, moving the camera, but... It feels like you're do you... Once again, back to this... You can increase your drag scroll. It's actually the drag scroll, not the wait. Oh, the mouse scroll is the one. But like, what is this? What is this? What the fuck is this? Because you're not like, I'm looking at the selections down here. It's not like you're clicking hotkeys a bunch of times. You're literally just. What the fuck? Like, I don't know what that is. Alright. Taking an expo. I mean, the build itself is not... That's just a weird... What else to watch? But I'm saying, like... It looks almost like what pro players do just to warm up. And you might be like, why is Hero Marine doing all this and going back and forth? They're actually hitting their hotkeys, and players will box their workers. It doesn't actually do anything, but you get in the habit of boxing 3 workers at a time or something like that, and maybe you're a little bit quicker on getting 3 workers in the gas, for example. But, what is this? What the fuck is this? I don't... Like, use your keyboard.
CC upgrade done. You remembered.
Using less than encouraging announcer packs as well. Will you get a second depot in time? What are you, like, discovering where you're... What is this? What are you doing now? No, the thing is, it's not increasing his APM because he's just moving the camera, and increasing the... Like, moving the camera doesn't increase your APM, which is why he's at 36, which is still too high. But... So, what is this SCV doing? it feels like this SCV was like, just go on over there and wait for me to come up with something. So,
SCV's under attack. Save the boy.
but we got distracted by the scouting SCV. By the way, you don't chase another. You've got one SCV in your opponent's base distracting you. You've got another SCV that's being baited to certain death. And you've got another SCV who has short-term memory loss. So you have a total of 19 SCVs, which means one, you weren't building as many as your opponent because he has more. Well, that's because he didn't build an orbital. So never mind. He did not build an orbital. So you were building SCVs. That's why you're about to be supply blocked. But, like, you have to get past scouting without getting distracted by the fact that you're scouting. Like, what's the point of seeing what your opponent is doing if you're not doing anything? And what I mean not doing anything, not building a depot, not building SCVs, not building a... You just now have enough for a factory, but a second unit out of the barracks. It's like you got one Rex expand down, and you're like, well, freestyle from there. Thank you, Resurrected One. And Aardvark for 6 months. I just don't get it. Alright, so that's a factory. Yes, well done. Well scouted. On the bright side, you don't really need a second depot that early if you just lose all your SCVs for no reason. Okay. It shouldn't be one Rax expand, 30-second pause to scout, and then, oh yeah, what was I doing? You have 450 minerals and 150 gas. Like, this is not diamond. You're not gonna get to diamond like this. You can't sit there. You gotta make it to 3 minutes, at least pretending you have an idea of what to do. You don't scout your opponent to figure out what you can build. This isn't Silver League anymore. Don't lie to me, Silver League mirror matchup players. It's like, oh, what is that unit? Is that a Void Ray? Does he have Vikings? Huh. Okay. Or alternatively, oh, he has siege tanks. Therefore, I must build everything but siege tanks because the pick man phase is over. All things considered, it's not a terrible early game. It's not good, but like getting an expansion and most of this stuff in a somewhat timely manner is... So here's the beauty of scouting. Even up through Diamond, we're still, I'd say in Platinum, you can summarize 80% of people with their scouting into two camps. Because the other 20% of people will have a reasonable response and value from scouting information. But here we have, oh, I scouted him. If you were looking with your eyes and then using the few neurons left over in your brain from the alcohol I assume you're drinking in order to actually work up the courage to hit the play button. And if you don't, then good for you for getting over that. But with that, you would have seen he has a factory way quicker than me. He has 2 gas geysers. He could just attack me with units, and I don't have any units. So, if he was doing an ideal or efficient build, you'd be fucking dead. You need at least a bunker in order to pretend like you were reacting at all to whatever scouting information he has. Or you got, rather, from him by seeing what he did. But you fall into the 40% of I scouted like the guide said, and now I'm just going to go about my business completely ignoring everything I saw. The other 40% is you scout a factory and then 3 bunkers, an engineering bay for some unknown reason, throwing up turrets, like freaking out because my opponent exists. But it's 40%, now I go about my build with absolutely no change. And 40%, oh my god, my opponent is an AFK. And 20% are people who will actually move up.
CC upgraded. But at what you're at, I'm thinking.
I was just checking if it was going to be Proxy Reapers or not. Okay. I'll give you very partial credit on that. So now we're gonna graduate to, if he has a factory, an entire factory build time quicker than me, I might need to consider that units can come out of said factory. They might not this game, but in general. But, well, moving up.
This better be good. SCV ready.
You will get away, even in Diamond, with just ignoring your opponent for the first 5+ minutes of the game. Because most people are also struggling to remember through the adult grape juice haze to remember what they're going to do past the 2-minute mark.
Yes, just as I deserve.
Ready to roll out. Who wants some? SCV ready.
Like, this is coming, we're coming together. It's all coming back to you, like, yeah. And this would, of course, be,
SCV ready.
I zoned out. This, if you played more games, then you would get to this point where it actually looks like you know what you're doing quicker. That's how it works. You do it once, pretty good. You do it twice, okay. By the 4th or 5th game that day, you actually remember what you're supposed to be doing, or at least some semblance of it. Because overall, look at the soup. Look at the supply. You obviously have built more shit than your opponent. Let's see what the illustrious gentleman on the other side is up to. He's got 2 starports, random-ass turrets, got a Widow Mine in the mix. He's just going for the Mass Raven build, which, more power to him. The counter to the Mass Raven build is almost
just
doing
as I
essentially
deserve.
anything else.
The game that got me to play. Hope you have fun with it, XD.
Okay, so now your first instinct will be he's going battle cruiser. Let's hope it is. And with that, well, let's see. So he has 2 starports and almost nothing else. Here's your opportunity. I don't mind this. Okay, now how about I just go fucking kill him? That's not a bad idea. I don't know what's going on here. The first depot makes sense. The second depot makes me feel like you're actually trying to wall off this location. And now we come back to the, remember, you can up your drag scroll speed. I feel like so many times we see the Meta League players building depots with their proxies or whatever random shit they're doing because they don't understand how to move the damn camera to another part of the screen, which is another reason to download that minimap DLC. Your add-on is all done. You came this far, and you came this close, and now you're getting hit by the siege tank that you scouted originally. Alright, so this is a total failure. Okay, not total failure. It's a general failure. Alright, it's over. Let's move on, right? Let's not double down on this failure. Let's move on to another opportunity. Like, I don't know, building a bunch of units. Maybe another base.
Ready to plunder.
You got another base. There you go. Thank you, XXT Dark Mage XX, for 4 years. But just don't do it. I see you have rally points for each individual production facility, or lack of. I see you have a specific hotkey for each production facility, and you're failing to use most of them. So I suggest the tab method, which is when you select everything at the same time and then tab, tab, tab. It's a little easier once you get used to it, in my opinion. But to each their own. I would just say, partially, 1, this is what keeps you from remembering to make units out of important facilities, like, say, I don't know, siege tanks and or Vikings / medevacs. And 2, I don't know, there's no 2 on that. That's about it.
Online. Armed and ready.
You went through and you came up with cyclones as your response to the potentially... Well, if you think it's battlecruiser, Cyclones are actually a good counter. I will give you that. But they do take micro, which is... Alright. So, the Mass Raven is revealed. At this point, your focus, and it's nice we can actually talk about, like, strategic-ish decisions as opposed to basic spend your money and build you... Well, wait a second, how are you spending your money? You're not queuing up too much. Solid amount of SCVs. Pretty good. Some upgrades, like, we're hitting a lot of the marks, just not very well. No combat shield, but...
Mind out of that cluster. And still in the game?
Okay, so that's happening.
Mineral upgrade is all done. Your add-on finished up.
I like how you pulled back and now you're getting everything else. What's the ELO of this? The ELO of this is irrelevant if you use the word ELO to describe it, because it's more than likely higher level than you.
That one?
At least you scouted. Oh god. So here's where we're going to introduce the novel idea of using control groups for your units. Now my question will be, do all of the units die that can die to a planetary, or just some of them? Let's find out. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and call that all. I'm gonna go with all on that. Even though it wasn't quite all, we're getting there. Like, we're almost there.
A mineral field has been depleted.
Alright, and there it goes. Okay, now all gone. So now you've successfully taken what was at one time a, what was that, 40 supply lead? 50 supply lead. And you have run headlong into a, I was about to say a brick wall, but the brick wall shoots you directly in the forehead. You were building units that actually have range, and you decided, like, you're a Terran. What I even pro players do this, is the thing. It's like, well, maybe I could attack that planetary. If it's a maybe, it's a fucking no. I don't know what was going through your head, if anything, that allowed you to convince yourself that you had any dream of killing that planetary, at the very least without suffering major losses. But whatever it is, I'd like some of it, because then I might be released from the eternal suffering that is self-awareness and basic consciousness, which I assume you lack. If you run into a brick wall at 60 miles per hour, it doesn't have to shoot back. Well, it's not 60 miles an hour. So, it's about 2 miles an hour. He's driving his fucking beige Oldsmobile, sunk down so far into the seat with, like, a bowler hat that he's had since 1928, and going the wrong way in the roundabout. And then somehow, despite there being only one sign for the roundabout, crashing directly into it. Hey, but in Thor's, I keep forgetting you're not the person here. Like, what's the best case scenario? So this was obviously a total fucking disaster. Let me let you in on a secret. While I do appreciate the focus on macro, I would recommend you have more barracks than command centers, at least for the first, say, 10 minutes of the game. You have 2 barracks. You have 4 command centers. Once again, credit for the command centers. The implication is you should have more than 4 barracks.
You're all mined out of that mineral.
Because right now you have enough money to build 54 Marines. Now, you can't build them all at once, but with reactors, it could be pretty quick. I like how the Vikings were like, well, if only there were some way. What I really need. Here comes Nemesis. Here comes Nemesis with, I'm pretty sure it was a bunch of ravens that tried to kill me. But I'm not 100%. So, let us use the only method with which we could possibly do so and figure out if those were indeed about 20 plus ravens. And at the end of the day, I am happy to say we have successfully scouted. Those indeed were 20 plus ravens. Now, there might be some little part like, well, ravens can't shoot up, technically, in the air. And yes, technically correct. In the worst and most useless way, but yes.
Research complete. But we learned.
So remember how I mentioned earlier how there are a couple types of mirror matchups. There's the pick man, and then there's the, hey, that unit's pretty good. Congratulations, you have now built Raven. Thank you, Amodakai,
Comedy.
for 8 months. Despite
Comedy.
upgrading 2-2 Marines and ostensibly Marauders, despite getting bio upgrades, well, the thing isn't like, do I go Ravens or do I go bio? Whatever you do, go for more of it. Because you have 2,600 and minerals and 1,000 gas. The answer is, doesn't matter, pick something. I do like that. So, what I'm interested in here is, have you used Ravens at any point since the last decade? And by that I mean like 2011, back when auto turrets lasted about half a year, aka 3 minutes. And do you understand that auto turrets only last about 12 seconds? What is it? 11? 10. 10 seconds. So you saw Ravens coming towards you. Still pretty far away. Slap down the auto. Well, this is a learning experience. We'll just assume he never. Not fair. He had a bunch of mines. I need Ravens. He has 8 mines. And if only Terran had some sort of detection ability, especially one that couldn't be killed by mines. That would be probably imbalanced, to be honest, but maybe we could figure something out. If only they had a way to, like, not only detect, but also see where your opponent's units are, and if you need to, say, make auto turrets. Then that would be just amazing. But I'm not sure. I'm scanning my brain. I can't come up with anything. Now we see if we have the minimap DLC installed. So, he had mines. We needed Ravens. That's fair. Tell that to the Vikings. I never have a scan when I need it. Well, that's just a fucking lie. Alright, Peter? Let's both agree. You're just fucking lying. You have a combined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about to be 6, 7, 8, 9 scans.
Now in my service.
But not a single one of them will save you from that train wreck of critical thinking. Thank you, Braycock, for 21 months.
Your precious base. It took dozens of APM to build.
It did. It took all your dozens. How evenly matched.
Oh, you are now in my
Skill mouse
service.
for 18.
100.
I like how we're continually microing this one Viking, and the way we're microing it is by individually selecting it every time. Because, 1, control groups, too complicated. Scanning, too complicated. But select all arming hotkey, bad. Producing more than 3 units at a time, sounds dangerous. Like, but we will micro this one Viking, the one survivor. I don't know what happened with these SCVs. Did anyone see that? No. Alright. Wait, are we still on your camera? Is that your camera? Oh, no, no, no.
Research all done. Your add-on has been constructed.
Here come the Ravens. Never got to scan when I need it. Let's just keep those words in mind.
You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief.
Alright, there you go. And dun.
SCVs are under attack. It's a...
Okay, so here's a few things. Thor's outrange Widow Mines. Auto turrets only cost energy. Also, there's obviously a graphical issue with this ramp. If you kill a Widow Mine quick enough, it doesn't fire. Like, there's a lot of options here, but you decide... I'm going to... The amount of time spent to come up with this solution is beautiful. Like, I'm just... This is the middle management bureaucracy of Terran here. It's like, not only do we not have nearly enough units, but we have found the worst possible option for dealing with this problem. The problem will be dealt with, but it will cost us as much as possible, and so ridiculously much time that wasn't even worth it in the first place. That's not for me to judge. That's for corporate. And we'll find out. So what we've come up with is build Ravens for detection. We're going to look at the mine, think about it. This guy, you, Billy, fuck off.
Disaster.
Some men will die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And just when I thought my analogy of inefficient middle management was maybe a little overmuch, like maybe it was getting too dramatic, Nemesis comes in, dropping the scan. So I just couldn't consider it. I thought, like, we had exhausted all the options to make this one of the most ridiculously inefficient scenarios we could have come up with. But I'm once again impressed by the ability of some players to take many actions when few would do the trick. So I salute you, Mr. Nemesis. You get the badge of... You get the silver heart. Okay, you know, you've heard of the purple heart? It's the silver heart. The silver heart, which doesn't... We'll just pretend this is silver because it doesn't... It's grayed out. But the silver heart is for people who, while they may not be literally in the Silver League, that's where their heart is. And likely will always be. So congratulations to you.
Mineral patches. Research is done. Your forces are just...
Here we go again. A new challenger approaches.
a little bit better.
There we go. It's adapting. He's learning. it did. Now we're banking up 3,000 minerals, and at some point, like, I predict he wins this game because nobody has the self-esteem to send in a loss. The only redeeming quality at this point is if he actually loses, which I doubt, because this guy over here is building ravens like Edgar Allan Poe and doesn't actually have a plan for winning the game outright. It doesn't even make sense. It's just the only raven route. I guess there's football, but was it Baltimore? I don't know. Moving on. But the only redeeming quality at this point is if it's actually a loss, which I doubt. At some point, he's going to get enough battle cruisers. You know, it's hard to judge.
Mineral field depleted. More supply depots. Supply depots are in short supply. Research finished, but I'm still more supply. Mind out of that cluster. And still in the game? Nice. A mineral field has been depleted.
Armed and ready.
At this point, like, I thought there was for the first 5 minutes, though, it was still rough. Like, there seemed to be a plan. Like, there seemed to be a general direction we were headed. But we have lost our way. Now we're just kind of making whatever units come to mind. And playing very reactionary against a player who, for the first 5+ minutes of the game, sat in his base, building planetary fortresses and ravens. So, that's not usually a winning battle, but at this point, we're here to see how this ends.
The enemy is attacking the rest. Base under attack. Time to lift to the corner and pray.
It's a little late for that. I'm excited.
That vest.
Oh my god. So this is, by the way, what are you doing, son? Succeeding you, father. No, you're not. Sit down.
You engage the enemy on purpose.
All right, Twitch chat. I'm excited to see how this ends. Well, the planet. Oh, the mass scramble! At the end of the day, though, the turrets don't let. Well, the move command. It's. Whoop, whoop. Never mind. Guy's decent with ravens. Billy! Yep. Run away! They're coming! Oh my god.
The enemy is all over your SCVs. Can't let him
The thing is, the battle cruisers win with high enough. So that's a whittle mine, by the way. You see,
You are now in my
I can't
service.
tell. Like, this is why we give out the
Smash
silver
the like
heart,
button, ring
right?
bell.
This is why we get the silver heart. And I think he's going to lose, so we'll give him credit for that. Because, I don't know, like, those interference matrices scrambled what was left of the brain. So, how does this end? How does this scenario right here end? By the time there are any other units anywhere nearby, the scan will run out and require another scan. The SCV, despite its best efforts, will not kill the Whittle Mine.
Refineries offline. Your SCVs have no purpose
Oh
in
my
life.
god. So the SUV died for nothing. Oh, that's not gonna go great.
Who called in the fleet?
Yep. And you said, yep, fuck it. I'll do it again.
Now in my service.
Son of a damn hero has just got FD by some judges, but a winter stream always picks me back up.
Thank you, Teddy Triple, for 13 months. I do appreciate how you haven't left the game yet. That's because we will almost... It'll take another 5 or so minutes to actually spend that 2,000 minerals. Alright.
Your SCVs will be DED if you don't stop them.
That guy sounds smart.
Lynn, don't
GG.
worry. It's not about winning or losing. It's about complaining on the internet.
Stalling and hoping Raven Energy gone. There's a lot going on there. So, first we gotta rack up your awards, which is first, of course, the Silver Heart. You get a Silver Heart for being silver at heart. As for everything else, like, the loss bumps you up very slightly. I think this is partially a literally like, well, how am I supposed to beat Mass Raven? The answer is by actually building units, having more than 4 production facilities. Vikings are fine, Thors work, battle cruisers aren't bad, Marines are actually some of the best, especially if it's just Ravens. But the answer is not spending 25 seconds dealing with each individual Whittle mine in the least cost-effective way possible, while simultaneously panicking, not using any hotkeys for units, and forgetting that scan exists until literally the only times you don't need to scan. For the first 5 minutes, there was a pretend, like there was a, it seemed like there was something coalescing into a plan, but it didn't last. As soon as the planetary showed up, just out of nowhere, nobody could have predicted that. It was gone. So with that, C-. What that means, congratulations on Plat, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're enjoying the beautiful Gold League next season. Who knows? With persistence and tenacity, great things can happen. But maybe not getting promoted. So. Like, you might stay at Plat, but who knows?
You are now in my service.
There needs to be a significant adjustment. Thank you. Night Launch, B-Boy Shades, Stanley Hammer.
You are now in my service.
I will offer up this before I stop. I will offer up this hard-earned nugget of advice. For free. I mean, not for free, but... siege tanks have a longer range than a planetary. Marines do not. Food for thought. And I think the planetary was the sticking point. The planetary is where everything went. It didn't get better from there. Alright, Smiles 19. Coming up, not linking to the info page, but instead just directly a download. We'll see. Smiles is a Diamond Zerg. Which... against Protoss. Okay. Looking for cannons. Like, we're okay now. Like, ideally we make it to the 3-minute mark without any major disasters. Let's just so I look smart, I can hedge my bets by saying the main sticking points with Platinum and Diamond Zergs. The first one is remembering your build right up until there is any unit that every player builds. Like, until there's a Reaper, until there are any amount of Zerglings, or until there's probably like an Adept. And at that point, what if I just built 24 Zerglings? Has anybody thought of this as a strategy before? While being supply block. 2. Upgrades. What are they? Does anyone know? 3. I got all this gas. I got Zergling speed. I have 343 gas. It's time for a lair. Why? Your guess is as good as mine. With that, let's actually watch the game. What the fuck are these hotkeys, by the way? Is this another core user? Is this Brood War? Alright, so we're using the core. The many hours of setup and practice. Efficient hotkey setup designed for maximum fluidity and whatever the fuck, synergy and bullshit. You know, it actually probably is true. It is a better hotkey setup. But let's see if we invalidate almost all of it with any of those issues. Alright, speed. Okay. Still mining gas. Third Overlord's just chilling. These are minor things.
Hatchery cooked up a fresh queen for you.
And now, this would be the moment that if you forgot what your plan was, you'd build a lair. By the way. Unless your plan is to go 2-base spire or something, but let us see. I have all these. The Overlord should be sent out, but that's not a huge deal. Okay. I'm gonna get a third. I'm gonna. Okay. And now what? Some drone. I'm okay. Like,
No building there.
look, an Adept. Oh. Wow, he just juked the shit out of you. How did... Oh. Wow, that was
Evolution complete.
pretty sad, but nice job by him. Oh, he's back. Oh, okay, he wanted to make sure he was dead. He threw you a bone on that one. There's the lair. And now, this isn't a particularly terrible lair timing. Okay? Like, 4 minutes. It's not like you scouted anything, but there's a chance that you actually will have a plan for it. And it's okay to get a lair, even if you don't know exactly what you're going to get with lair tech. It's not okay to get a lair because you don't know what exactly you're going to... I feel like I said the same thing twice. What I mean is, you can keep your options open, and maybe you go Hydra, maybe you go Spire, maybe you actually go Nidus. Like, those are good options. But if you build a lair, it finishes, and then you take another 45 seconds before you come up with something, that is what I mean. Alright.
Queen ready. Brenda's ready to rumble.
So, by the way, there's been no scouting of what he's doing. He could have gone Stargate or DT. Didn't build any safety spores. If he went Oracle, he probably wouldn't be dead, but you'd probably lose, like, between 3 and 10 drones, depending on if he actually knew how to micro the Oracle or if he just panicked. Which both are about equal. A lot of drones. Technically, I'm going to give you some credit you might not deserve. Which is, you saw the third base, so therefore think you're safe to build a bunch of drones, which is potentially true, but the same point about you have no idea if he's going Oracle. Like, he can go Stargate and get a third. But we'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one. And the lair is done. You now are on the clock. I'd say if you go 30 seconds with the lair done and no lair tech, that is unacceptable.
Yes, yes, yes. Just as I deserve.
Oh god, it's Peter again. Peter Nemesis. Okay, Hydra done. Fine. Good default. Now remembering spore crawlers are good. Fine.
A new queen
And there
is
you go with the upgrade. You know, most likely because almost nothing has happened thus far, it's looking okay. But if you can't manage to put together a relatively solid build with nothing happening, then you don't deserve to be in Diamond in the first place. So.
The enemy is attacking your swarm.
All right, Immortals, and you're getting a lot of info there. I like that the reflex is to take more bases and build more drones. You're building a few wings, but whatever. So now this is when we separate the boosted platinum Zergs from the ones who will actually improve. So now we're getting to a high economy. We're going 50 drones is not a high economy. Once we get 60 plus. But the Evo chambers are done. Building a few more links. Fine. Getting a fourth. Good. But this is where the tunnel vision can kick in. So let's find out. This is a big risk. Attack upgrades, fine.
Queen's all done.
Hydra speed, whoop. That's fine too. Building banelings. Why'd we get that Hydra done? Ideally, you build banelings as the last thing you build. Why? Because the banelings only get one attack. And they build relatively quick. You've already got the Zerglings. So, if you don't think you're about to be attacked right now, you don't need banelings. If you want to build Hydras, you build the Hydras before the banelings. So that way, the Hydras are done and finished, and that big investment in the Hydra list compared to the baneling is already, you've already done that. But if he comes out with a bunch of units and you built 20 banelings 2 minutes ago, those 20 banelings could have been 4 or 5 Hydras, which would probably have been better to have. The banelings, ideally, now you don't have anything scouting them, but ideally are the last thing you build. Not part of what you build, unless your entire build is lings and banelings. And if you want to ask, like, what should be the ratio of lings to bane? Well, not lings to banes, but Hydras to lings and banes. I'd say about even on supply for each. So if you have 15 Hydras, that's 30 supply, 30 supply ling bane, which is 60. So thank you, Mikhail Crow, for 19 months.
All done
I'm glad you
Yellow
still do
patch
it.
is gone, and it's not coming back.
Very astute announcer.
They're creeping on your creep tumors. You engage the enemy. On purpose? Creep tumors.
How much larva do you have? You have 11 larvae. You are supply blocked. That is the issue. It'd be nice to have more Hydras in production right now, but
Siege. Get off our slime.
this is going to go pretty well because you built up your economy, then you built a decent amount of units. So this is now the second most important part. The fact you got here, there you go. So I'm just going to try to, this is Diamond 2, is my guess. Because we've got the makings of what we need, but if Diamond 3, oh, there you go. So, that must be encouraging. The thing is, I'd imagine you die pretty commonly to some earlier attacks, because sometimes they just show up at your front door, and I know this feeling of, oh hey, he's got a bunch of units, and I'm supply blocked, and oh well,
New queen. Run this here.
the supply blocks are pretty bad. 1,900 minerals. Another summary is, if you spend all your larvae, and you still have over 1,000 minerals, build another hatchery. Build it in your main. Build it in your natural. Build it at another base, but build another hatchery.
Mineral field.
We both know once you get to fighting on the other side of the map, you're not going to be injecting nearly as religiously as well. Nobody does. Not even Sarah. Okay, maybe Sarah. But
Need more energy.
okay, I can't tell. Like, I think right now there's a not 0% chance that you're trying to click on your... Okay. Yeah, there it is. You're moving your overlords out of the way to click on your lair so you can make a hive. Is that... Otherwise, where are they going? And now we see what will keep you in Diamond. The biggest thing, the most important thing to be able to do is take your macro turn and your micro turn all at the same time. So instead of, it seems pretty dangerous. I think we're fighting now and not building anything at all. Not starting the hive. Not spending your, well, it's only 9 larvae, but any of the larvae. Or really building anything since he showed up. That's the difference.
There's a notification.
Like, you're not building anything. And I know the fight is impending. It seems very dangerous. But having more to replace your stuff is almost always going to be better than getting a slightly better field. Like, you need to be building units right now. You need to have them building, so that way, even if they're not part of this fight, they can be part of the next one. You don't want to have a fight, go back to your corner, and realize you got nothing there. Also, mildly importantly, larva is a resource. While the majority of your larva, at least a strong, a slight majority of your larva is from larva inject, each hatchery builds a base 3 larvae. And it builds it every time that larva is used. It takes 15 seconds or so. I don't know, it's like 15 or 16. And it builds another larva. So for every second you're not using the larva that you have those 3 larvae, you're wasting more potential larvae, and thus compounding the issue of not building units. Now, to an extent, larva inject balances that out, but since you're not building units and using that base larva right now, the larva isn't regenerating into more larva, which you could then use, and so on and so forth. So the fact that you don't have any macro hatches, plus you aren't building units on a regular basis, is what leaves you feeling like, I always lose games with 3,000 minerals in the bank.
Your brood's stronger now. Their attack can't fail.
This was pretty good.
Mind out of that cluster. And still in the game? You're all mined out of that mineral field.
So, while it was rough around the edges, and obviously it wasn't a perfect early game, and there was next to no pressure, with Kevin, and he won the game with 3,000 minerals, so kind of same issue, but the hive could be quicker, the upgrades weren't perfect. There were, like, if you're creep spreading when you have 2,000 minerals, your priorities probably aren't ideal. Your hydras could have been built in a different order, but we're mostly talking about details, as opposed to the base idea that you built more shit than your opponent in a timely manner. It's an A-. You'll be Diamond 2 I'd imagine probably about 20 games maximum. I don't know how many you play a day. If you only play like one a week, then obviously that'll take a while. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Diamond 1 by the end of the season if you play, say, 20 games a week. So. Boring. Moving on. Honey Badger, you said you had the wrong game. Would you like to link the right game again? Let's see if that is even close enough. Protoss versus Protoss in Platinum. So. I don't often see Winter having that positive score on the YouTube. I wouldn't say there's a... Just so it's a self-selecting situation. Many of the people who would get an A or A minus or even A plus score don't send in their replays and save their money because they either, one, understand their mistakes, or two, learn from those other resources. Whereas... the reason why there are so many people who have the lower scores is because, one, a lot of people send in games they think are going to be on like Bronze League Heroes and stuff. They want their 15 minutes of shame and all that. There's part of that.
11 months
There's part of
till
that.
I get a prize.
And two, a lot of the people who send in and get those low scores just don't have the critical thinking skills to acquire information that's going to benefit them and understand it and comprehend it in a way that they can apply it just generally or productively or at least quickly. So, like many have said before, and it continues to be more true to this day than possibly any day before it, a fool and his money are often parted, and thus, maybe I should raise the price. So, with that, we have a Platinum Protoss. Or easily parted. Something like that. Thank you, Solomon Epstein, for 11 months. Do I get a prize? You do not. You get the privilege of giving me more money. So thank you for that. One way or another. Are you AFK? Are we going to build the first pylon? And I've talked about second pylons, but... A fool and his money are easily parting? Yes. Parting is... He's very good at Starcraft, and he's very entertaining. Thus, the average lifespan of his phone is about 4 months. I do agree. Alright, so the first pylon was almost on time. I'll give you that.
Need more pylons. Or...
Okay. It's still throwing me off. I don't know why they did this. The control groups were moved over a little bit. Like, they were moved to the middle, where they used to be on the left side. I think this is to standardize for all resolutions, but I fear change, and I don't like it. The control groups should go back where they were for 9 years. Thank you. A Scythe for 5 months, but I just don't enjoy. What are you doing? Are you scouting for proxies? What would you do if you found one?
Enemies attacking the probes. How could you let this happen?
Okay. And Second pylon. So, and we lost it. So close. So close. It was very close to being within acceptable tolerances, the correct build. Or not correct, but a good 1-gate expand. But, like so many, the instinct to spend your money is correct. But to build another gateway at this time is essentially useless. The reason you have this money is because you're not building probes. This gateway will finish when Warp Gate is about a third of the way done, which means you might be able to build 1 unit before Warp Gate finishes. Assuming you're building out of both gates, which would preclude doing any other sort of tech, really, but that gateway is essentially useless and indicating you forgot you were supposed to build probes. That's what that says to me. Maybe there's some sort of 2-gate build that has this timing that I assume only Florencio would use, but I doubt it. So here's what you do. Probes, and you got this one so far, pylons. You forgot the probes. Okay. Well, at least we're building probes now. Are we going to build with the second gateway? So what was the second gateway for? Building a sentry 3 seconds before the stalker comes out on the other gate. Sure, we use the second gate. We'll say it. We'll give you that. Kappa.
Save those probes. I can't build cannons without them.
Once again, that isn't a huge deal. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But the most important thing that you both need and want to have is probes. All right? Not gateways, not fucking random ass stalkers. It's probes. As many probes as possible while still also getting your tech. And you are not building probes. You have 2 things. Build probes and build pylons. Those are the 2 most important things. Day 9, for half a decade before he lost his passion, told you the same damn thing. And that has not changed. But you're not building probes. Like, that's... And yes, the seconds add up. You've missed like 5 or 6 probes here.
Your research.
Build probes. Build probes. Okay.
Oh, you are now in my service.
More probes, more problem.
For your opponent, more problem. Thank you, Mac as a sandwich. For 29 months. Glad you still enjoy it. At least you're building probes now. Doing better than the Terran. And if you... So, honestly, Protoss is probably the easiest to hit 50 workers by 8 minutes. Zerg seems like it would be, but larva management is actually harder than just mashing the probe key every once in a while. So, I would say a diamond level is 50 probes by probably a little, like 6:45. I say 8 minutes is just a general. If you can't even do that, then there's a reason you're still in silver. And yes, you might be like, aren't there timing attack builds where you get 32 or 44 probes? Yes, but if your build order was that particular, then it would have already been a failure. He scanned me, which means he has permanent vision of that area. Wait. Okay. Okay. What were we doing? Okay. Fine. Okay, now this is gonna sound crazy, but you're allowed to take a third nexus. You can just go do it. Don't let your dreams be mean. Ah, yes. One of my favorite scouting units. Does everybody know what the best scouting unit for the Protoss is? It comes out of the Robo. And it gives you vision in a relatively large area around it. It is the Immortal, as you know. So, strong usage there.
Research complete. Have we learned anything?
Everybody's done that. We've all done that. I've seen Neeb lose scouting Immortals, okay? That's the most forgivable. But at this point, you got 46 probes, which it's come out okay. Like that, the early game probes matter more, but sure. But take another base. Like go to your third and Nexus. Take it next. Also, using unit hotkeys and not just select all army hotkey, which is going to ruin everything, etc., etc. But probe. Third base by 6 minutes, unless he's trying to kill you. Right now, like unless he's up in your grill saying mean things that make you very sad, or attacking you, then go. Like you can't. You're gonna go Templar Archives. This is not the tech bush. It's the tech tree. You go up, and you get to something, and then you move on. You don't just. I'll have one Templar. You don't need the charcuterie board of things you can't afford on 2 base. I bet you're going to get Storm here. Oh, don't do it. He didn't do it.
Mineral field depleted.
I'll almost give him credit for not doing it.
Just
I
as
killed it, Molly.
Still haven't quite made flat yet. ZVZ from tonight.
Nice. An upgrade's been completed.
The thing about taking another base is it's actually safer if you do it earlier to some extent. Because that way the base has either 1, already paid off, or 2, is less likely to just die to an attack because it's not done yet. So right now, will you move your units over to the base you're about to? Oh. Was ist das? On the bright side, you have built a lot of very good units. Whoop.
Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back.
Okay, fine. Double it. You know what?
Can't warp there.
Oh my god, it was the Reaper, and he's microing it. Credit to the other guy for not using the select all army hotkey.
A mineral field has been depleted.
Okay. I know that Reaper has hurt you, but I would argue this would be a perfect opportunity to learn how, just because there is one Reaper in the middle of the map, and Reapers have hurt you so much in the past, that does not mean all 64 army supply needs to come barreling down the ramp into the middle of the map to kill that man. Okay? This is a perfect opportunity to see the value of not using the select all army hotkey. Because while I don't think this is happening, this is a prime opportunity for some random-ass Terran player who doesn't have the balls to actually walk across the map, so only do drops because they are too scared to move. To just show up and be like, well, I'm dropping your main, and would it be calculated? Maybe, maybe not, but there's no reason to move your entire army out of position for one Reaper. That's the summary. Now, I'm interested to see what happens next. Do we just attack? Oh, bad sits there. Fine. Okay. But That is the opportunity to figure out what hotkeys are, by the way. And one of the most important things, and this is not necessary at the Platinum level, but to get to Masters, one of the easiest ways, is if you can actually manage it, is because since everyone else is using the Select All Army hotkey as their crutch they're hobbling along on, doing even a simple counterattack with charge lots is one of the, even at Grandmaster, one of the best ways. How many games have you seen where not even a Warp Prism, but charge lots just run around the edge of the map doing a fucking world tour, and then at the end of their half marathon, they show up and kill like 23 SCVs? Pretty sure I just saw TY versus Parting where that happened. But if you are addicted to the Select All Army hotkey, you will never have the both the privilege, the intellectual superiority, and enlightening moment of realizing your opponent has brought all of their units to the other side of the map, and your zealots have slaughtered over half of his workers. You will never have that because you are doing the same thing he is. Like, you are desperately trying right now to do a zealot counterattack. I'll give you credit that in your brain, you know this is something that you should do, but you are fighting against yourself in order to accomplish it. And that is what will slow... Like, crutches will help you walk, but they slow you down. And that's what the Select All Army hotkey is. If you're using it as a crutch as opposed to a tool, it is not going to help you in the long run. How do you use it as a tool? Now, if you have an issue with it, I suggest you don't do this. But for example, hit the Select All Army hotkey. Control-click, Disruptor. Now all my Disruptors can be hotkey. Control-3, Control-2. I usually put it on 3. That's how to use it as a tool. Or if you desperately have units everywhere. But when you are sitting here with no pressure besides your own existential dread on the map, there is no reason you should continue arguing with your zealots as they are issued conflicting orders every 20 seconds. This is a learning experience, so thank you for bringing this to the people.
Constructed. Upgrades finished up.
So here's what'll happen. And this is why a lot of people are like, how do I train multitasking? Multitasking really isn't that hard once you realize... Okay, it's not easy, but it's not that hard once you realize that the reason it seems so hard is because you keep contradicting yourself with your own commands to your units. So either you will not move your army knowing that this counterattack is happening and the Select All Army hotkey will fuck it up, or you'll just straight up fuck it up and get frustrated some more. Those are the two options, because they're not hotkeyed. And neither is the army. So something's going to happen, or nothing. Both are bad. Like, the ideal scenario is that he's halfway across the map, or he's moving out, and then, as he moves out, your charge lots move in. And he has to either come back, or attack into you, and you already know he's coming. Doing a big charge, like, not a big, but like a charge lot side attack, for the sake of doing a charge lot side attack, is unlikely to accomplish very much, unless you get lucky. And this isn't supposed to be a game about luck. But, like, if they come in, there's no units, you got lucky. If there are units, well, you just wasted it all and it did nothing. So, you have not created a scenario where you're putting yourself ahead. You're just letting it happen. But you didn't do that. I'll give you that. But now, you see? You use the Select All Army hotkey. And you realize, because of the amount of mental effort to overcome your crutch and actually do this zealot counterattack, you're just like, well, fuck it. Just figure out something for these zealots. Like, this is too difficult. And while you might not have thought that consciously, that's what just happened. I'm going to go back, because this is one of the most obvious representations of someone who knows what they're supposed to do, but is fighting with themselves and are unable to accomplish it. Like, those zealots in that position, that's a good move. That's a master's level move. That's a great... Like, so those zealots should stay in that position until you know where the Terran army is, and therefore can force a no-win scenario for the Terran. But because you get scanned and panic using the Select All Army Hotkey. You know the zealots are moving, and now you're like, well, I guess we just go. So, with the best case scenario for these zealots being his army just, well, I guess his army is here, and they do nothing. But at least now I don't have to stress out about this anymore. Run away. You ran away. Okay. Imagine how easy this would be if you could select different groups of units without moving your camera every single time. Just imagine. Imagine if you could build probes, control multiple groups of units, and I don't think it's out of the question. You got 64 APM, that's more than enough. The thing is, you are putting more energy into avoiding using control groups than it would take to just use the control groups. And I've repeated myself over and over, but it's such an obvious situation, and this is one of the most obvious representations because he knows what to do. He's smart. It's a good play, and it's making me very unhappy that he's fighting with himself to fuck it up. Where are the zealots going?
You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief. Mind out of that cluster. It's still in the game?
So now we have an army that is very difficult to control, but has a lot of good parts that don't need to be controlled perfectly. And we gave up on our dreams. This is the, well, I'm 32, and I'm not going to find anyone better, so I guess we're doing this of strategies. When you were a Silver Leaguer, you had dreams. You thought, I would multitask like Neeb. I'd have the tactics of parting. I'd have the defense and multitasking of stats. But now you got to Platinum, you got lazy, you drank maybe a little too much beer, and you gave up on any of that. And you're like, well, I put together a death ball and has a bunch of Archons, so it's probably going to do well, and I just hope I get Diamond someday. And you know what? You probably will. But one day, at one point, you had dreams. No longer.
Research of mineral field depleted. Pylons. Need more pylons.
And now here's the other obvious issue with Select All Army, is that's one medevac. Alright, everybody count with me. 1. Maximum of 8 supply in there. We're now sending out, did you just control group out all of the, you know, that isn't the worst possible option, I'll give you that. You can, and, never mind, alright.
Upgrade is all done.
Like, at some point, you just take your safe bet. Like, building a big army that's better than your opponent's and A-moving it will get you far. It'll get you the Masters pretty easily if you know, like, if you focus on it. But you will lose games because at some point he drops with 2 medevacs in a different location than you were expecting, and you just can't handle that. So. Also, by the way, yes, that is a great, good job pointing that out, Zam. So, why are the warp gates on a hotkey? Because he's fighting with himself. Either he doesn't know or hasn't tried using the Select All Warp Gates hotkey, which is much more useful than the Select All Army hotkey. Thus, negating the entire need for having a control group for your warp gates. Now, there might be other things on that. I'm not on the other guys. I can't actually click on them. I don't have it selected. I'm too lazy. But 11, how many warp gates does he have? It looks like he might have a robo on there, but I'd argue you can put the robo on 5. So the Select All Warp Gate key exists, but we haven't discovered that one. What we have discovered, to great extent, is the Select All Army hotkey. Like, you got to do more spell casting than Hogwarts over here. And you've got everything on one key. What are the chances that the disruptors and the storms and any sentry abilities are actually going to come together? On the bright side, you may no longer have that obligation in the moment. Thankfully, you still do have Protoss units, and he commanded his army, so you still win. Despite your very best efforts, the beauty of this is, well, you almost fucked it up there. We saw 0 storms, 0 sentry abilities, Guardian Shield would be the obvious one, 0 disruptor shots. So what are these Templar and Disruptor? More Immortals, more Archons. Accept your lot in life. Kill your dreams. You don't have them anymore. Realize your limitations and build Immortals and Archons. None of these fucking fancy-ass units. Embrace it. Either that or learn to use control groups. Those are your 2 options. Did he storm? Did he have a storm? Let me see. Let's see if it was the sickest storm. I might have been wrong. Oh, he got a disruptor shot in there. That was good. You know what? Let's use those control groups. I believe in you. Yeah. Use a little bit in there. Now, his Archons were, like, no matter what happened here, it was going to be like everything was wrong. But he did use a little spell casting. So I'll give him that. So maybe he should have dreams. But we can keep doing this all day. Like, sure, he got a storm, he got some disruptors. But he also ran directly up the smallest possible ramp in the worst possible fight. He could have walked around, say, over here. Or, well, that's most of it. But he decided this is where we're going. Because barreling headfirst into the worst possible concave was the only option on the table. So.
Download has to
It actually worked this time.
How many beats per minute?
And that's why more shit counters less shit. Is because you can still take one of the worst possible fights and succeed. Because your opponent just was not focused on building more shit than you. Terran players will be like, well, look how easy Protoss is. Those Terran players have also not played since Wings of Liberty and don't understand what Liberators are. Some of them have, and still don't understand what Liberators are, so let's give them that.
You're all mined out of that mineral field.
So let's see how much longer this goes. About 2.5 more minutes. Gonna spend over 10% of the time of the game itself on just walking around destroying the opponent's buildings. Gotta savor it while you can. So, that was one of the most disappointing games. It's disappointing because there's so much potential, but you're obviously working against it. You knew what to do. You can tell. He knows what to do. But he keeps his bad habits, the silver leaguer at heart, or gold, or whatever you picked up those, is preventing... You're actually smarter than your rank, which I rarely give people credit for. Like, usually it's they got to that rank through sheer ignorance, which that's most of how the world works. But you're actually smarter than your rank, but you're actively fighting against it. So with that, it's a B. For, I think you'll get Diamond. And you won't need to use control groups. If you're not already Diamond. But there will be some of those games where the Terran player manages to put together a single drop at the wrong time. And it will all come crumbling down. So. The game that got me to plat, says Maru. If you remember Maru from earlier, wait, which game was it, Maru? Oh, some of the worst decision-making in micro I've ever seen, but actually surprisingly good macro. Like, the worst. So, this is a TVP. in gold. Going to plat, apparently. We've all been there.
SCV ready.
Cutthroat and a bounty hunter face an enemy of a new kind. Through the uncharted lands of the West, a fistful of men.
Can you talk about having individual hotkeys for production versus one hotkey and tabbing through? I don't know if there's that much. I think nowadays most new players and pro players use one production hotkey and tab through. But
Additional supply depots
I think
required.
if you're just starting out, it is better to learn to use the tab key, and it's easier for most people, myself included. I originally in Wings of Liberty did 5, 6, 7 production, like barracks on 5, factories on 6, starport on 7. But that is, unless you're like Maru, who's individually rallying each production facility to a different place, then, okay, well, this is Maru, but maybe not that Maru. Then having them all on the same rally point and hotkey, I think, makes it easier. It is a personal choice, but more often than not, when I see a Meta League player with production on different hotkeys, what that really means is not everything's going to get produced. That's the summary. Also, oh, well, this is happening. Oh my god, he gave up. Okay, so this is a mess. That one probe has created...
Your SCVs are getting wrecked.
According to Twitch chat, no one would ever pay for this? You mean like the one guy or who once an hour or 1 out of every 100 comments is like, I don't know why people pay for this. It's not funny or useful. It's like, well, neither is your opinion, but you're sharing it anyways. Let the people have what they want. But, of course, the vocal minority comes through and shapes the whole conversation for at least 10 minutes. So, with that, you can pay me. You don't have to, but you can. It's up to you.
EC's upgrade.
Our SCVs are...
Alright, so we saw this last time. There is essentially no scenario where you should have 2 SCVs in his base where you're not proxying barracks. Second, there is no scenario where those 2 SCVs should also then die. Like, there is no blood sacrifice. You do replays without getting paid. Every once in a while we have a special day where I do like a speed run or something. But it is very occasional and don't plan on it.
under attack.
Yeah, don't, like, here's my pro tip, is don't lose an SCV as well as have one just across the map for no reason. Like, what is this? What are you doing? Why do you hate your SCV? Like, if you're going to... When it comes to this, also, just on that last point, if you think what I'm doing right now, if you don't think it's useful or productive, take it to some circle jerky Discord server or something. What the critical thinking skills of voicing that opinion here don't make any sense. But that makes sense in context. And 2, little do people know. I know this sounds crazy. They can go to a different stream. I don't recommend it, but they don't have to watch. If they're asking like legitimately, I can't understand because I don't have the ability to look at anything from any other perspective. Why people would be interested, and they want to learn. Well, I applaud the interest in expanding your perspective. But let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, it is more looking for confirmation as opposed to looking for an objective opinion.
You are now
But
in my
if I were to
service.
give an objective opinion, thank you, Black Snake, for 75 months, by the way, it would be you should not lose multiple SCVs to probes in the early game and then come back say, I don't know, how do I improve? I guess it's obvious you have more disposable income than time to play Starcraft. So. With that, thank you, Mario. I know pro players take down those rocks, and here's the actual education. Why do these rocks exist, or plates, or whatever? Because back in the day, some fucking Protoss and Terran players learned that if these plates didn't exist, you could just put 3 pylons or 2 bunkers and wall off the bottom of the ramp. And mostly for Zerg, but just generally, that was really dumb. So now, if you're going to 3 pylon block, it at least has to be on the top of the ramp, which gives you a chance to break out. That is why every map has these plates.
Your add-on's done.
CC's up.
Okay, Little Mine did well.
SCV ready.
So remember the first criticism from the first game. Always nice to get multiple games to get some idea, a more complete perspective. The first game was, everything was pretty good. Like, so far, the build, decent. And then, any amount of micro happens. And for however long that micro is happening, which is far too long, it's a disaster. Every part of it. Nothing happening behind it, no production, no nothing. Meanwhile, also the micro itself, terrible. But then we go back in macro and it's good. Let's see. Alright.
Add-on's done.
Okay. Everybody's freaking out like, do we have assigned seating over here? Or there's that one kid who's sitting around like, I kind of want to sit next to the other barracks there, but I don't know. The teacher said that we have to wait to see if our names are... The fuck is this? I like how you're doing the add-on switching, but it's a bit of a mess right now. I rebind, I don't know what the core hotkey, but I rebind to F for the... Okay, so deep breaths, everyone. And until anything new is produced past this point, we're just not going to breathe.
Oh, you are now in my service.
I like Starcraft.
You know what? I'll just build some units. Never mind. Well, okay. Well, it gave a little production before. You guys are still not breathing. That didn't count. Okay. Alright. Trying to find that burrow key. Whoop. And this better be the sickest Widow Mine of all time. Yep. No. So, you tell me. You tell me. You tell me, Maru. What do you think? You killed 2 probes. The first one was with the Marine. You killed 2 probes. Meanwhile, you built fucking nothing. You guys can breathe now. So, what do you think? Was it worth it? This is the I'm doing a Widowmine drop build, just like Pig's build order guide. Does Pigs build? I assume Pigs because you're in Pig's clan. But does his build order say, and now for the next 45 seconds, you will micro your Widowmine drop? Does he have that in there? Because my opinion of him just dropped dramatically. I doubt it, but who knows?
Somebody, get me out of this mess.
Like, where did you get this build? I'm actually interested in this. Because you have the core hotkeys. You seem to have real build orders. Like, this is, on paper, might literally be Maru's Widowmine drop opener. So, where are you getting this information that allows you to actually do a good build? To the extent that even when you do just forget to do anything for, like, 45 seconds, you're still going to be okay. Because having any semblance of a build. Watching Jason. Ah, Jason. So at what point are we going to complain about Protoss? While still being one of the top Grandmaster players and having a significantly higher win than loss rate against Protoss. Is that later on, or are we just gonna macro it out?
SCV ready.
Additional
I'm also gonna... I won't, because I'm not good enough for balance to affect my games. That's true. I'll give you that. But, like, the thing is, I don't know how to fix this. Because I say the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule is every 5 seconds. It doesn't have to be literally 5 seconds, but every 5 seconds you try to do something different. Building SCVs. Producing Marines. Microing a Widowmine drop. Getting upgrades. Building supply depots. Every 5 seconds, you're doing something different. And if you can keep up on that, if you allot yourself 5, maybe 10 seconds to micro, and then can force yourself to go back. I don't know how to force you. Like, maybe a fucking metronome or a timer that every 5 seconds is like, hey! That, you can clip that.
lighting pose required.
Ready for dust. Gangway. SCV ready. Armed and ready. You want a piece of ready for dust off. You armed and
Research finished.
Like, besides the obvious, well, part of the reason you're banking up money is because this is all a domino effect from the first Widowmine drop, where you slowed down everything, and since you're pretty good about dropping mules and building SCVs, now you got a bunch of money, and everything else is kind of behind.
ready for dust off.
We're running out of minerals back home.
Mineral field.
Ready for dust off.
Okay, now here's the moment. Here's the moment where you say platinum, but this is the difference. I don't even know. Most diamond players don't do this. But you're taking a third. Now would be a good time to move your army to defend your third. Because there's a much higher than 0% chance. He is right here and just waiting for an opportunity. Like if he has a brain, which I doubt. But, wow, a lot of the time he won't be. 10, 20, I don't know, however many percent of the time, he will be close enough. But you move out to defend.
You need more.
Ready to blunder. SCV.
I mean, look at the supply difference. Nothing's happened besides that shitty Widowmine drop that did nothing. But you're up 50 supply. So, good macro. Okay, so my recommendation is to siege the tanks, but when you build this much more shit than your opponent, it's not that important. Well done. Now comes the... you're building some... Like, you can tell the progression. You're building some unit. Okay, now... Still a terrible fight. Whatever. And now he's got to complain about Terran, just to bring it all together. Like, if this game was a little closer, then not building units or upgrades would be bad, but it's pretty much in the bag. I don't know, like, you walked across the map unsieged for a full, like, and did all that in 1 minute, and now you've taken a minute and a half to slowly siege up this ramp. So, I feel this is partially a victory lap, right? But it also is like if this was a little closer, or he had, I don't know, another few bases and a bunch of void rays or something. But that was, I don't know, what did I give you the first time? I don't know, that was a B+. Because you have we've diagnosed the problem, and it's a hard solution. And there definitely will be games lost because the tunnel vision. But it went well. You maxed out. You walked across the map with way more shit than him and won the game. Congratulations. Oh boy, we've got Peter again. And how many SCVs you should start building third? As long as you're building SCVs on a regular basis, probably between 35 and 45. Let's say 40 to 50. Once again, that's if you're pretty religiously building SCVs. Alright. We have 2 more queued up, but first, Jimmy says we haven't run an ad in quite a while, so I'll be right back. If we can pause ad block and all that. I know ads are annoying, but thank you guys for watching. I'll be right back. Alright everyone, welcome back. I'm Winter, also known as Angry Coach. Are you a Platinum Zerg, a Diamond Terran, a Gold Protoss? Do you just not know how to improve in StarCraft 2, or actually use the search function on anything, because who does that in 2020? Did you get force-fed this video by some sort of algorithm, and you clicked on it because you thought it would be funny? Well, congratulations, you are the target demographic. Make sure to like and subscribe to make sure more of my videos are randomly force-fed to you on a more regular basis, and you can guarantee this by ringing the bell. But if you'd like to participate in Angry Coach, you're probably wrong. But in case you want to pay me for the privilege, you can use the Angry Coach command in the Twitch chat. First, you must make sure the stream is live. If the stream is not live, and is it ever live, then we call this the critical thinking tax. If you can't figure out how to submit a replay, you can't figure out if the stream is live, you can't figure out you're actually on a YouTube video, and you send me money, well, thank you. That's the critical thinking tax. Pay up, or that's it. Fuck you, pay me is the summary there. But also, if you'd like to pay me in other ways, you can subscribe with Twitch Prime, check out Patreon, or whatever. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know ads are loud and annoying, but
You are now in my service.
thank you, Rezu the Cookie, for that stuff. Thank you for joining us. So we have Peter / Nemesis. If you don't remember, this is the player who, how you doing, Peter? Who said, I never seem to have a scan when I need it. And then, while having ravens in range that he built because he never had scans, scanned for a Widow Mine he had already triggered by losing a Marine for no reason. That was just one small taste of the remarkable creativity we saw. So, it is, this time it's a Protoss versus Terran. So what do you guys think? Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? About the same. Take a guess. Because I'll be right back. One moment. All right. Everybody's on original. Hi, Winter. Do you have a hotkey guide? It's a good idea. All right, Peter. I'm excited for the creativity. Also, we're done with replays tonight. Got this one and Jolie Bully. And that'll wrap it up. Hopefully. I assume, and I'm also factoring in the one person who either pretends to have not heard that, or option 2, just makes a lot of assumptions. So that's a very early scout. Also, the depot was on 13, not 14. The depot's supposed to be on 14. Is Peter/Nemesis here, by the way? I'm like one of my favorite parts of that first game was the explanations for things. Like, I like that there's such strong, completely wrong, but explanation. Like, there's a reasoning behind it. Once again, the reasoning is terrible, but I appreciate having that insight. Okay. So let's see. Remember the two big categories that scouting falls under here in the Platinum League. 40%. Okay. He exists. He's not AFK. And I will go about whatever I was doing before. And then 2 is, oh my god, he exists. And we need all of the defenses and to panic, despite whatever he's doing. And then the other 20% are people who actually understand what they're looking at. This game, and one sec, because it's too much to read out. Let's break this down. You need time for. Okay. This game and the last game I sent you, I totally crapped the bed, which is why I chose these two. When it's like, oh, I got supply blocked, I forgot workers, or got doom dropped. I know what I did wrong. Here is an big clear mistake early. Bank while I stare at the Reaper like a noob, but I'm sending this one with a clear error. I have another reason for sending this one. Okay. So you're looking for a forge with the early SCV, which I would argue that if you send your SCV out too early, then you have less of a chance of stopping someone with a forge. But, fine. We've all been cannon rushed before, and nobody likes it. Thank you, Jurassico, for 31 months. Stop camp for 4. Okay. I can't tell these Terrans apart. Maru? Well, the early game looks very similar to Maru's game. Our Platinum Terran. Well, this is also Platinum Terran, but we see here, there are now not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 SCVs in random locations not mining on the map. I'll give you 2. And to an extent, I'll give you 3. But 4. That's an impressive number. Considering it's over a quarter of our economy. Okay. Okay. Alright. So, I'm not necessarily saying anything he's saying is wrong. Except for the times I do say what he's saying is wrong. Which is not, that rare. I've been having the same game in TVP a bunch. They show up when I take a third base or am in process. Protoss comes with a bunch of gateway units and like 3 Colossi and a move. I think with 1/1 ground and extended thermal lens. In this game, after futzing with like 1 Reaper, you can swear on the internet. Like a noob. When I realize what I... Also noob with a W, that does show some age. Which is fine. When I realize what I did, I decide, F it. go greed, and if he scouts, I lose. But in the games where I don't bank that money, I lose regardless, so I felt doomed already. So the summary is Protoss always has a bunch of units, and there's nothing I can do about it. Am I boiling down correctly? So...
Command center upgrade.
So, part of the reason why it might feel like your opponent has such a hecking amount of units is because half of your workforce is idle. Like, no, let's not pretend here. This SCV is sitting here until you remember what your build was. It's like, well, I'm gonna get a factory, but there's a better than even chance you just slap a reactor on that barracks as well. So, okay. Like, I don't think people truly understand, even though I say you shouldn't be microing the Reaper. I don't think you truly understand how far behind you get if you sit there for 30 plus seconds of the first 4 minutes microing a Reaper. Like, it's not just that you didn't build the SCVs, it's that if you had those SCVs to build, that could have contributed to having more production and therefore more units. It's an exponential amount of income you're losing for every few seconds. You're looking like, it's not like not building 5 SCVs means you've already lost the game at a higher level. No, but it definitely doesn't help. The first 30 SCVs matter more than twice as much as the next 30. Because those first 30 are what allow you to get to a position where you get the next 30. And yes, I'm giving you a lot of credit ever building 60 SCVs, but that's my point. If you're sitting over here, well, let's see how bad it is first. Let's see how bad. You're building SCVs, it's fine. Oh, what? Okay, that's a robo. What you just... Okay, if that was a big mistake, this is not a big mistake. That was... Oh,
you are now in my service.
Can I bring Jimmy, can we...
Another one.
They show up when I take a third base. Okay. So here's my recommendation. When I realized what I did. Okay, so somehow, and this is rare, I will give you credit. Like I said, very creative. You have the exact opposite problem. You are assuming that you're so far behind because you fucked around with that Reaper for like 20 seconds that there's no chance. We've tried nothing and are all out of ideas. That's essentially where we are now. It's like, well, you've managed to overstate the situation of over-microing your Reaper, which is a rare trait. I will give you that. You have built no units. He has built 1 unit. You built 1 unit. And now it's like, well, fuck it. I guess I'm fucked. So, that's... impressive. Thank you, Tippet Now, for 34 months. Seldomatic for 31.
At what cost?
You've got PTSD from ever playing against Protoss, which is very sad. What is this? Where are you going? What are you doing? Like, this is not... No, this is not... What are you, bomber? Here's the thing. I don't necessarily hate this idea. Honestly, if this had come from Maru, the guy last game, if it come from him, I'll be like, you know what? Fuck it. All right, fine. Agreed. But it was your reasoning. Once again, where at first I was going to give you the benefit of the doubt, I'm left with just the doubt and none of the benefits. Because I microed the Reaper too much, so therefore I have to just build a bunch of command centers because otherwise I lose anyways. Like, the fuck? Like... At least make like a Widow Mine or something so you can pretend like 1 Stalker isn't going to end the game.
SCV ready.
Usually when you go for the double gas, you go for at least a starport. Like, I like how it was, what was it, in the TVT against the Ravens, it was like the 6-minute mark. It was well in. It was when the planetary showed up that the entire plan was gone. Here, it was the first Reaper. 3.5 minutes in, we pull the epic cord and we say, oh heck, I guess Protoss is just too darn strong, and him and essentially at this point, I reckon that there's little to no chance. And oh dearie me, I have the Vapors as a Protoss players on the other side of the map, and I was micro my Reaper for far too long. I'm sorry. My bad. I may have attributed a certain style of speaking with the yeah. Thank you, Petira, for 34 months. Glad you still enjoy.
Cold train Protoss
Your
paint
command
train.
center? Better than ever. Add-on is good to go.
Okay, just another point. If you're making multiple command centers in the first 5 minutes, you probably don't need depots. Just so this is literally the no rush 10-minute build. At least 10 minutes. It feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy, to be honest. Why is there such an early fourth? Have you literally been AFK and you're just tuning in? Like, somebody fill me in. I was busy fucking losing at 76th place in Fortnite. You just joining us? So, instead of sending me the Doom... So, another part of this, by the way. Like, there are so many parts. And we have to spend time. You're like, Winter, just get on with it. You haven't been here for very long if you think I'm just going to get on with it. It's not just this. It's not just what he's doing in-game. It's that, instead of sending me the game he loses every time, he sends me the Heck-It game. That's what he sends. With his hard-earned Christian money, he sends me this. So the choice, not only with that explanation, but also the fact this is the game we're watching. All of it.
CC upgraded, but at what cost? CC upgraded.
Maybe he's an atheist? Well, on the bright side, even if he is, he's causing many of us to either, well, reconsider our belief or non-belief in a higher power, because it is definitely a strong argument against intelligent design.
Add-on finished up. You pick. Your add-on is all done.
So you're gonna build a bunch of, like, here's the thing. If you hadn't explained the whole situation, I would have kind of liked this build. So thank you for explaining. This is very important for the whole picture. If you just said, I watched that video where Bomber took 24 bases and it looked pretty cool, it's like, not the worst thing to go for.
And you must construct additional supplies. Mineral patch is gone. It's not gonna build supply depots. Yes. And upgrade.
Someday we'll learn. I forget. Is this another core player or like what are these? So rally points exist.
Been completed.
This is oh, the silver heart. I forgot about the silver heart. You know another part of the silver heart, for those who weren't here. The silver heart is when you're not actually silver, but you have the heart of a silver player. And it's so strong, it can't help but show through. A great example of that is when you build all these units that aren't Marines, and then, because you don't know what else to do, you build Marines. It's okay. Like, when you watch, like, Maru or Bomber, like, they'll build a bunch of Marines, and then they build their mech units. But when you build your mech units and then build Marines because you don't know how to live without them, that's the heart of a silver player. Like, if we're upgrading +1 infantry weapons at the same time as we're building 3 Thors and +2 mech armor, heart of a silver. Okay, there's a reason we don't do Discord. Okay. Lots of breakdown. Like, we're covering all sides of this.
Been there, done that.
Perhaps it's just that they are doing a specific build, and my macro is 2 Metal League. And I'll lose to someone copying a good build every time. I feel like when I play for a while, feel like I improve, but when I lose the same build repeatedly, I crap the bed from the outset. Oh, heck. Losing to this is not as annoying as losing to... Wait, oh, you lose this game. But to beat that, I had to learn how to respond. I'd like to be able to improvise a solution, which is what I do here. But it was a poor improvisation. I still banked and panicked. Does this require a specific response? So right now, my good friend, you are ahead by the way, like, what do you build instead of Marines? Hellions. Hellbats. Heckbats. Sorry. Heckians. That's your minerals. That's where the minerals go. The response, I don't know what you're talking about responding to, because you're the one, here's the correct response. You max out, and then you A-click. That's the correct response, because you're going to get, now, in a regular game, you probably wouldn't have this advantage, but you took 4 command centers before you built anything, essentially. So, you're going to have more, you do have more units right now. Right now. Your army supply, actually, no, it's the workers. It's the you have 80 SCVs, holy fuck. So, congratulations, TY. This is like if TY went into a downward spiral, had a major concussion, still understood how to play StarCraft, but is constantly on psychedelics, as well as is 88 years old. That's where we are here. So a lot of stuff going on. So your response to 5 zealots in the main is run away and then fight with 1 Thor, which is the correct response would be to attack them with anything. I'll give you that. So you did eventually. Good job. You might, like, what's the response? Attack with anything. I didn't say I lose this game. So you sent in, once again, you didn't say you lost this game. You say you lose to other things. So you sent in this game. Like, are you seeing the lack of...
You are now in my
It's like, I don't know what to do in those other games.
It's
those other
something.
hypotheticals that I have no recollection of and no record that I could have sent to you. But in those other games, other things happen. But in this game, something different happens. But those other games I lose. This game, don't lose, probably because you actually build units. But in the other games, that's where we are now. Thank you, Keyvor, for 19 months. Glad you still enjoy. Let me just paint you a picture of something entirely different. Like, you wanted a picture of a banana, and I gave you a picture of a mango. Technically, same category, but, like, I wanted to see your banana drawing skills. Like, is it a banana? And now what you're partially doing is telling me, no, that mango is sometimes a banana if you look at it from a different angle. This is getting more confusing, but so is the explanation. Well, too late now, yes. That, I think, summarizes much of your strategy.
Want a piece of me, boy? Ready? Empty? Ready to bluff.
So, you've probably seen at least some inkling of, well, you were here earlier in this entire time where I say more shit counters less shit. You described to me a scenario where you lose because he has more shit than you. You then proceed to send me a game where you build more shit than him, and you win. I'm assuming you win because you're up 70 supply with great upgrades. What do you want from me?
Upgrade completed.
Ready to
Add
Heckians.
You took all the minerals. Mineral patch is gone. Upgrade
Is the answer.
finished up.
In case you were wondering, the charge lots almost got kind of close to killing some of my army. Heck bets with blue flame.
A mineral field. Upgrade is all.
So you build way more stuff than him by spending your money and building more workers, and you walk across and win the fucking game. Alright.
Max supply. CC upgrade done. You remember this time? That's the commander I've been waiting on.
So, if you wanted to pay me $15 to say you discovered successfully more shit counters less shit, then congratulations. If you want suggestions like how do you do that without seemingly to lose if he attacks, well, you start out by building a barracks, a factory, and a starport, and then building all your other bases. Okay? Build out of those. Get like a tank or two. And then build 7 bases. Yeah, but I did it with a greedy build that won't work most of the time. You'd be surprised. Or maybe you wouldn't. I don't know if anything's ever surprised you, for better or worse. So for this game, in a vacuum, this game was like a B. I'll give it a B+, mostly because of the focus. But in context, this game is a C, a doctor. Like one of the brain ones. It's more like a... So you're telling me you won the game, but you sent this in, and then you keep telling me, but this is not a good game. So I feel like we're getting close to something here. 5 or 6 more games from now, we might actually figure it out. But, so it's like, in those other hypothetical dream world games, I lose. Well, try to make your games more like that, I guess. How should a Protoss respond to this? Tell him he's supposed to lose, but he got lucky. Because you went easy on him as a Protoss and didn't attack. Because inevitably, if you had, you would have won. And he should know that. Should I just play like this? I would say, if you always lose, quote, doing one thing, and you don't always lose, which I can say at least one time you didn't lose, doing another thing, I would explore the possibility that maybe you should do the thing that doesn't lose. That is my final statement on the matter. I hope somebody build a fucking flowchart or a PowerPoint. Jolie Bully is a platinum Zerg. Why? Let's find out. Or not, because it's not loading. Jimmy! Zerg versus Zerg, which... Turn around. Where you going? Okay.
Queen's all done. Good choice.
The queen is done. I saw the drone go for a third, so I wanted to take one. Wait, what do you mean? His drone?
I knew.
I saw with the OV. You also see the third base with the OV. That's part of a standard. Now, I may have attributed far too much basic matchup knowledge, but the third base is a normal build. You know what's not a normal build is everybody forgetting Zergling speed and going for a lair. Because if either player had just gotten 20 Zerglings with speed, they would win the game. So just pointing that out. He at least made a roach for him. So let's make it clear. This is one of the, in other matchups, non-mirror matchups are, this is very less true. But mirror matchups are a whole lot about, like, one player getting one key upgrade or unit and just going. And in ZVZ, that's almost always just a whole fuck ton of Zerglings. And while it's maybe not the best strategy to learn, that's the reason why so many players, like I've said, gold is a wall for Terran and Protoss because they can't build one, and because they can't build them, the Zergs get to platinum, and that's when they actually hit a wall because the Terrans and Protoss graduated from gold by learning how to build one. Just wrap your heads around that, and now we're back to the game. ZVZ still applies, but not nearly as much. So we're just gonna YOLO in the lair with no units or scouting. Okay. Like, this, there's a difference between playing greedy. This is worse than the last game. Like with Peter the Incorrigible. At least Peter had already given up. He's already given up on basic logic, okay? He's found his own way around it. Give him that. This appears to be the, I am just not going to acknowledge my opponent can make units build. Like, if he builds 12 Zerglings, it could be a deadly blow. So that is a little much focus of macro, even for me. And you know how Lings just usually end up distracting me. You know what I'm saying is, either you build the Roach Warren quicker, like, you got a lair, and then what? What the fuck was the lair for, my good friend? You're like, well, Lings distract me. I agree. So, what is this lair? What are you doing? You get the lair. Good job. And then, when the lair is already done, now you start a Roach Warren. This is a literal cart before the horse situation. You want to upgrade the cart upgrade, but you have not built the horse warren. So maybe you should get the horse warren before the cart upgrade potential. You should have a plan for what your lair is going to do before building it. Like, at least go that far. You've literally done nothing else. You've sat here, you built drones, and you built a lair. That's it. And you've done a good job on the drones. The lair, like, you should be able to do the mental leap forward of, what do I want with this lair? Like, what am I doing with it? It's not like you're scouting. You're not trying to pick up information and make a bad response. If your objective is to get roach speed, you should. You're never going to get to diamond if you can't remember to put the horse warren before the cart upgrade. Okay? Like, if you, every game you're continually surprised by, oh, fuck, what am I supposed to do with this thing? This building, I get every single fucking game. What am I supposed to do with that? If you don't have the object permanence that is required to remember that at some point you'll need to build a building that builds units, and you have to rediscover it every time. One, what is this fucking, no, not Truman Show. Groundhog Day? No, that, I mean, kind of. Something, what, the Star Trek episode in every single Star Trek series where they're stuck in a time loop because they have to fill an entire episode and not progress the story very much. I don't know. I like. So here's the beauty. This is matchmaking working well. So both players skip Zergling speed. Okay? They skip Zergling speed. Both players get a lair. This guy built a roach warren and no roaches, which I would argue is only marginally better than Mr. building a lair and then forgetting the roach warren. But the summary, how does it end? I'll spoil it for you. They both get roach speed at the same time. Beautiful. Impressive synchronization, then, I will say.
All done evolving. For now.
Were those units? Oh.
The swarm is threatened.
Yes, the classic. I don't know what to build and I'm panicking, so I'm building Zerglings. Now, you might be like, well, he probably didn't have the gas. Technically accurate. I'll give a slight amount there. The roaches don't cost very much gas. The paniclings are a waste of money. They don't do jack shit. And they're, more importantly, a more valuable resource when you actually have an economy, and I'll give you credit for that. 65 drones is a waste of larva. Because you didn't build some random hatcheries like that guy. Why does every Platinum Zerg bank up 1,000 minerals? Because they failed to account for all the random-ass fucking Zerglings they're building, wasting their larvae, doing nothing. Groundhog's Day. Groundhog Day. Yeah. No plural. Maybe plural. Depends on how you look at it. Anyway.
The enemy is attacking your swarm. You're all mined out of that mineral field. Your swarm is now...
I'm excited. Did that guy just get burrow move without burrow? Yes, he did. He just gave up on the whole idea.
A mineral field has been depleted.
Okay, you maxed out and you're attacking. Like, besides the no rush 20 build you're playing, well, 10, I do like the macro focus. Uh-oh. Wait, is that a muta? It's an overseer. Okay, if that was a muta, everything could have gone sideways. Are you going to walk up and kill him because you have more shit than him? Did you notice that he went the other way completely? Okay, maybe not completely.
Evolution complete.
And now, because you have way more units, I would argue you probably should add some more roaches in there, but...
Your brood took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief. Brood under attack.
Besides the surprise at your own tech,
Panic time.
and the literal, the total lack of acknowledgement that your opponent could actually build some units at some point. It was pretty good. It's a B+. Because it's hard to get lower than a B if your build is max out and attack and win the game. I send in this replay? I don't think that's a bad one to send in. It's just not very entertaining. Well, here's the thing. Any game below Diamond, there are two options. Games that look like a kind of mediocre impression of a pro game and thus are both kind of boring and simple, where you can kind of realize where it's going to go. It just might take a while. And two, players who will not be getting to Diamond. Those are the two. I will give credit to Peter, so that we finally run out of replays. I hope you've enjoyed this entire almost 3 hours or so. I don't know where we're at on the marathon, which, of course, might be like, Winter, I survived all those YouTube ads for you. It's like, oh, come on. They're like 20 minutes apart, and you can just press the skip button. Yeah, but when my phone's on my face and I'm asleep, I can't skip them. It's like, well, why do you care? Thank you for the revenue. Anyways, I want to give credit to Peter. Peter coming out, like, we're going to give out awards for today's marathon. Peter gets the Silver Heart. He gets that award, which is just unique. And also the only loss sent in of maybe 10 games or so, I don't know. The only loss. And while Peter is a very special snowflake, I'll give him credit on that note. And for so many other things that are not related to winning games of StarCraft. Whereas Jolie Bowley gets the award for the most boring replay that could have been a guide video and a YouTube link to a build order guide. And let's see. Honey Badger gets the award for most painful disappointment of a childhood and also StarCraft play. And who else did we have? Maru gets the I'm very the book smart, but what's the best way? What's the most fun way to put it? I could answer the most, I could get 100% on the standardized test about StarCraft, but I'm going to struggle to get to the Diamond League. He gets that. So, the theoretical best player goes to Maru. The practically best player goes to Jolie Bowley, and the saddest player to Honey Badger, whereas the only one maybe with a spine to Peter. And now we've summarized. Like and subscribe and all that. If this is on YouTube, and if it isn't, subscribe with Twitch Prime and I'll get more money. Or don't, and I won't get more money. But at least people will keep sending in replays occasionally, so we'll survive on that for a while. Thank you for watching, good luck, and have fun.